What's up, guys? Welcome to the Peer Review Podcast. My name is Caleb Davis, and I have notes. Before we get started, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And also make sure to follow us on X at peerreviewer_pod and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast. So, I am recording this video the night before because I have a very busy Wednesday tomorrow, and I don't want to have to worry about fitting it in. So, we're making things work, but that explains a little darker than usual, just if you were wondering. But I have 3 topics today. I'm going to start with the Rockets versus Grizzlies, like I mentioned in Monday's episode, and just talk a little bit more about the Rockets. And they're on a 4-game winning streak, so I want to shout them out a little bit. Excuse me. And then I'm going to move on to the Lakers versus Spurs, and the Spurs is absolutely pummeling the Lakers in the second half and outscoring them 73-40 in that second half. So just a little bit about that game and just why I'm a little shocked on how it played out, just because the Lakers were coming off of, that long rest. And yeah, I get there are things going on out there, but this was a game that they needed after losing 2 right before, and now they're going to take a dip in the standings. And I mean, hey, if they want to come out and play like that, that's on them. But then I'm going to finish off the show just really briefly talking about the Pistons versus Knicks. I wasn't going to talk about this game at first, but it was just such a good game. It came down to the wire, and any chance I get to talk about the Pistons as of late, I'm going to take that opportunity. So let's get things started. The Rockets versus Grizzlies game, it ended in a 118-120 Rockets W, and both teams kind of came out the gate and they were just kind of daring each other to shoot threes. Like everyone was going under screens, like leaving guys open, and both teams shot pretty well. The Rockets went 16 for 31 on threes, so 51.6%, and a couple of those threes were like late shot clock heaves. Like Fred VanVleet had this deep right wing 3, like with no time on the clock, or Jalen Green hit some tough shots. And then the Grizzlies, they went 14 for 32 from 3. So 43.8%. Not as good as the Rockets, but still pretty solid. And again, for a lot of the night, they were going under Ja Morant screens, just leaving them wide open. And it was kind of, you could tell it was kind of frustrating him because like you're in your head, like, why are they just leaving me open? Like, and he hit his first couple and then he didn't make any the rest of the game. And he'd like he'd get a 3, he'd pass up a shot to try and drive because he's a good driver, but there wouldn't be a lot there because they were kind of game planning for that. He ended up with 7 turnovers, and it's not the only reason, but it definitely contributed to that point. And then most of the game was played in the like mid to half court because they were running the fast break a lot, forcing a lot of turnovers. These are both 2 really good defenses, and it was just a really good game. Now, I'm going to quickly, like in the first half, it was, like I said, it was more of a transition play because both teams were capitalizing on turnovers. You saw zone looks. You saw just a lot of defense being played. I'm going to give a special note to the Thompson twins towards the end of the video just because I was watching both games like simultaneously. I had my TV, like I had my old Xbox set up and we were watching the Vikings-Rams games. I had my laptop set up and I was watching that Rockets game, and then I had my phone set up watching the Pistons-Knicks. So I had it all going on. And I was trying to, key back and forth on the 2 basketball games. Also watching it was a lot going on, but I made it work. Back to the point, though, getting out in transition. Memphis won in transition. It was 29-12 as far as fast break points, but Houston won on the glass, and that's been a common theme for them all season. But it was 15-8 as far as offensive rebounds, so they were getting a lot more possessions and just attacking the glass. Like they're more athletic. They're like the most athletic team in the league, in my opinion, how many young athletes they have, and it always shows. But moving on to the third quarter, this is where the Grizzlies, they started to pull away, and I kind of thought the game was going to start to get out of hands because the Grizzlies went on a run. They went up like 12. The Rockets fought back a little bit, and then Desmond Bane started going to work, and he got this and one that put them up 12, and, the Grizzlies were feeling good, and then the Rockets just, played defense, battled back, and then started hitting shots. Now, Ja Morant in the fourth, he hit this like half court, like deep 3. It was off an offensive rebound, or I don't know if it was an offensive rebound or like the ball almost got stolen. He got it back. He hit this deep 3 with like 2 seconds left on the shot clock. And that's, again, I thought the game was kind of over. The Grizzlies were starting to pull away. He just made that like insane shot. But then Jalen Green responded right away. He came back down. He got an and one. And this kind of sparked an 11-2 run from the Rockets where they got back in the game. Like Amen Thompson, he got this block on a floater where he jumped up so high. And I don't even know how he got it. He blocked the shot. They run down. Boom. Jalen Green, another three, cutting the lead. And this is where the game's back close. It's about 105 to 102. And then this is the next play down. Fred VanVleet. So, excuse me, the Grizzlies come down and score, and then Fred VanVleet comes down, and he hits that deep, like at the beginning I talked about, he hit a three that was kind of on the right wing with no time left, hit this shot, and it put the Rockets up too late. So, moving on, there was kind of a couple momentum swings, like Ja Morant, and then comes down. It was going back and forth. He gets this like crazy acrobatic layup over a man to tie the game after the Rockets just went up two with Fred's three. And then Jalen Green, like he was on fire the whole night, scoring consistently, but he just was scoring, getting it done. And then I thought Amen Thompson just did a great job on Ja up until that last foul, but I still wasn't mad at the foul because they were up three. But I just want to talk about the like last couple minutes like of the game because there was a bunch of like chess matchy things going on. So at first the Rockets, they went away from Jalen Green and they were just running this Fred VanVleet and Sengun pick and roll. Like once he got back in the game, and Sengun scored, he got like a lefty floater, and then they ran it again. He got to the line. He made one free throw, missed the other, but the Rockets get the offensive rebound, and they ended up turning the ball over after getting the rebound, but they still created another possession for themselves. They come back down. They dump it off to Brandon Clark in the paint, and Dylan Brooks just stonewalls them, like hands up, defense, got the rebound, boom. Rockets are back out in transition. Now, to close the game, right now it's 111, 114. The Rockets are down two. Wait, am I reading that right? No. Rockets are Grizzlies should take the lead. No. The Rockets are up 113, 114 with a minute left. And then Sengun gets this lob, like he's driving down. They run the pick and roll. He's in the middle of the floor, like free throw line. He gets this lob to Amen Thompson, who's like cutting off out of the left corner. He was playing in the dunker spot like the whole night, or he'd be in the left corner. He's really good at cutting off the baseline once guys turn their backs to him, and he's so athletic. Like you can't really recover like when he jumps up for the lob. So it was kind of there all night. And that's been something that I think he's a little better at than Asar is like weaponizing his athleticism off ball. Like he's really good at as soon as a guy turns his back, like he's moving around because as a spot up shooter, if you can't really shoot, you have to find other ways to make yourself like a threat on offense. And he does a good job, and especially since he's been inserted in the starting lineup. Like they've both just been so impressive to me. But Sengun gets that lob to a man. Rockets go up 114, 113. Then the Grizzlies come back down. They give it to Brandon Clark again. This time he makes the layup, putting the Grizzlies retaking the lead and making the game 115, 114. And then boom, the Rockets sprint back down court. Jalen Green gets this layup through contact, and the Rockets go up 116, 115. And then the Grizzlies come back down. Ja Morant kind of tries to force the action. Again, this was one of those times like he had a three, he didn't take it, he drove, which not a bad decision, but you're going against a top tier perimeter defender, and then Amen Thompson, he rips him, and they go the other way. Another one of those, Amen Thompson playing out of that left corner. I forget who passed it to him, but someone drove down. I think it was Sengun again. He drove down, dropped it off to him, and Amen gets fouled, which was a smart foul by the Grizzlies because he's not a good free throw shooter. But he had been making shots and like he hit a three. He had just been playing really well, and he knocked down both. And like it's a good foul, but you gotta live with that. And then as the final sequence, like I said, Amen Thompson, he fouled. So Ja Morant, I'm blanking on the score right now, but Ja Morant's bringing the ball up, and then Amen Thompson, he's trying to play aggressive defense, and he trips up Ja. And Ja goes to the line with a chance to tie, and he just misses both free throws. So that was a little rough. They were down three at this point. He goes to the line. He can make the first, miss the second, try and get a rebound, kick it out. No, misses both, and that's kind of the game. It was a good game though. Very, very fun to watch. And like I said, the second and third season in the West, like you can't ask for much more. Now, a couple of players that I just want to highlight a few guys. First, I want to start with Jalen Green. Like he was just scoring the ball, and when he gets hot, he's like a flamethrower. Like I just saw it personally against the Lakers after the Rockets whooped them. What did he have, like 30 in the first half or something like that? Like when he starts hitting shots, and he's been doing it lately, he is so hard to stop. Now, the next guy, Dylan Brooks, I thought he was just great on defense. He's not like he got a bunch of key stops late in the game. He was doing a good job not fouling and just playing his role. And then Amen Thompson, like dominated off ball. I talked about him cutting along the baseline, playing in the dunker spot. He had 5 blocks. He was guarding Ja for most of the game and just doing a great job. He's so fast, so athletic. He can recover really well. He's good at like beating you to your spot. He's always playing like the passing lanes, like hit those clutch free throws. And a quick just note on the Thompson twins, like I said, I was watching both games simultaneously, and I see both of them like one would get a steal, one would get a block, but it's just so much speed, athleticism, and they're like top tier athletes and so fun to watch. But shout out to them, and that's all I have on that game. So I'm gonna move forward and talk about this Lakers Spurs game. The final score was 126-102. Spurs won by 24 points, and the Lakers started the game sloppy. So it kind of was I guess it was foreshadowing how they were going to play the rest of the game. But both teams kind of came out pretty well. Like I figured there'd be some rust because guys are off they were both off for the Spurs, not as long as the Lakers, but both off for a couple days. They came out pretty well. Both sides were hustling. You saw offense, you saw defense on both ends. Like there was some momentum plays. Like in the first, AD and Wemby were kind of going at it. Like Wemby scored, he had 11 in the first, and like he hit a pull up midi, and he hit this deep 3 over AD, and he was grabbing offensive rebounds. And then I think once he had like 8 points, AD was like, "All right, like I'm not going for this." And he answered, and he scored 9 in the first, and he had like this layup where he went right through Wemby's chest, and then he had a 3-pointer to keep the Lakers in it, and he was just doing his thing. And then real quick, I want to talk about Jackson Hayes. He had a stretch. He didn't play that much in this game, but he had a stretch early in the first, or was it toward? Yeah, I think. I don't know why I'm blanking right now, but it was either in the first or second where he came in, like he turned a turnover, like LeBron tried to, I think he was trying to lob it to him. It was almost a turnover. He got it, and he knew Gabe Vincent was right behind him in the corner. Just turn around, boom, wide open 3. He knocks it down. Then he got a stop on the other end, and then he grabbed like an offensive rebound, just got another possession. He was just playing a lot better than he has been the last couple since he's returned from injury. So that was cool to see. And then some keynotes on LeBron. I'm going to be nice for now. So he showed some of his creativity. He's been hitting that like one-legged 3-pointer he's been shooting. I don't know. He just looks like he's just out there trying shit. But hey, and then he had this ISO on the left wing. Like whenever he gets Wemby on him and like the crowd gets all in it, it's always fun to watch. But he hit him with like a half spin, got around him and got a layup. So it was just a cool little moment. And the offense was horrible for this lineup that they put out there, but I liked seeing more defensive guys out there with LeBron just because he like doesn't play defense. Like JJ threw a lineup out there. It was Gabe, Cam Reddish, Dorian, and then LeBron and Jackson Hayes. And they did really well defensively. They were bad offensively, which is to be expected. But with LeBron out there with groups like that, you're just trying to maintain the lead or maintain your position in the game. So I'm not super opposed to that. Maybe swapping out Cam Reddish with maybe like Dalton, because Cam Reddish just gives you nothing on offense. Maybe that is one tweak I would make to that. But I liked how that lineup looked per se. But moving on to the second half where the game just went to hell for the Lakers. Like they came out and they couldn't hit shots. And it kind of hurt they were up about 10 and they kind of just let the lead wither away. Like they had this stretch to end the third where this has been a problem for them all season. Like they suck at closing quarters for some reason. Like they'll play really good and then they'll just suck and just be lazy and not care. And everyone's like throwing their shoulders and pouting. And I don't really know what to make of that, but they just kept turning the ball over. Like Gabe Vincent had this lazy pass, it gets picked off, they go down the other end. I think LeBron had a bunch of turnovers. He had 7. Like, he was really bad in this game, but they were just turning the ball over, not getting back on defense, and this kind of ignited the Spurs because you scored 3 times in a row off defense, especially scoring off defense, like gets you going a little bit, and the game started to get out of hand. Like to end the third, and I'm going to talk about the switching towards the end of my little Lakers rant, but it was 86-89. The Lakers it's like the final possession of the third, and they switch because that's what they love to do under JJ, just switch everything, even though it doesn't work with their personnel. But they ended up switching. The Spurs get an offensive rebound, kick it out, boom, three. It's tied going into the fourth. It was just kind of like that was like a gut punch. Like it knocks the wind out of you a little bit because they played solid defense on that possession, like the first time that whole quarter. But moving on to the fourth, the Lakers come out and they, again, just horrible on offense, horrible on defense. They scored 9 points in the first 9 minutes of that quarter. 9 points, like a point per game, a point per minute in the NBA. Like it was horrible. And the biggest thing in that fourth was they were just letting Chris Paul pick them apart. Like Harrison Barnes, he was just dominating them he'd be in the mid post, the low post. It didn't matter where. He prime Kobe, like fadeaways, drop stepping, just getting whatever he wants. And then it didn't help that they were getting scored on and they were coming down on the other end, and LeBron was just turning it over, making bad decisions, like not getting back. He was, like I said, really bad. And then the biggest thing that I didn't really get was JJ kind of switched up his rotations in this game, and he was leaning on Rui a lot, and Rui wasn't having like an amazing game. And don't get me wrong, Dorian Finney-Smith wasn't that much better, but I still think he's just an overall better fit with a lot of the lineups he had out there. I didn't really understand, like I don't know what that really was. It was a bad rotation game for JJ, and the Lakers just had errors on the game. They kept switching. Like you can't switch AD out in the perimeter because as soon as he switches out, you have no help on the backside. Like LeBron's not gonna rotate. If you have Rui out there, that's not really an option. Like maybe if Dorian Finney-Smith is out there, it works a little better, but he wasn't playing. And Harrison Barnes just picked them apart at play after play after play. And they were specifically targeting Austin Reeves. That's been like everyone's game plan for like the last couple of Lakers games. Like just attack Austin Reeves every single time, and it's been working. But I don't really have much more I really even want to say on this game. I guess I'll just go through some takeaways for the Lakers. Like the biggest thing, and I had this in all caps in my notes: stop the unnecessary switching. Like the point of switching, I completely get it. Like the point of switching, you halt actions, you force teams to ISO, and it works if you're the Celtics and you have guys who will actually play defense, and you have a bunch of switchable defenders who actually like give a shit. But when you can see bad switches, like when LeBron switches with Austin Reeves and goes out and guards CP and leaves Harrison Barnes to post up Austin Reeves, and then no one helps, no one rotates, like it's not gonna work. And they were playing better when they started to go away from it. Like in that Rockets game, the Mavs game, they started to revert back. But when they were winning games, they weren't switching as much. And you can't switch with this team. Like, and I don't know why JJ is so stuck on making that happen. Same with the not starting DFS. Like I don't know what he's waiting on. The lineup data's there. Like they've lost. They're in a little slump. So you just should switch things up anyways. I don't really get it, but the Lakers let that game balloon out of control, and it feels like anytime they go down a little bit, they do that. They just give up. They just let the game get out of hand. And I don't know. I'm kind of, it's funny to say, but I'm kind of like numb to this team at this point. Like I've been rooting for them since LeBron's been there. They they could win a bunch of games. Cool. They could lose a bunch of games. I like it's cool to watch LeBron's last couple of years, but I don't really care. That's kind of where I'm at with the Lakers. I guess focus on execution, avoiding collapses like this, and fix the starting lineup. But I am not the coach. I am just a person talking to a screen. So I don't know. I don't really know what they could do. But finishing it off, Pistons versus Knicks. This game was just all about Cade exploiting the Knicks' 2 weak points on defense. Their main 2 weak points, Cat and Brunson. Cade and just the Pistons in general, everyone was bringing Brunson into every single action, forcing him to play defense. And it just was not working. Like they kept trying to get him to hedge and recover, but he just kept botching it. Like, and he'd run in. Like there was a bunch of times where he'd like run into Mikal Bridges, like, and basically screen his own man. Boom, Cade gets downhill, and this got Cade going in the third, especially. because he got into foul trouble in the first half, so he had to be a little less aggressive. He came out a little early, but he came out in the third. He had 18 points in the first 6 minutes. Like, he was hitting threes, passing, he was drawing fouls, playing through contact, hitting those like he's good at like close mid ranges, like inside the free throw line. Like it feels like he always hits those. And then Asar, another Thompson twin, was just doing a great job containing Jalen Brunson. Like again, just like Amen, he's quick enough to he'll beat you to spots. He's strong enough, like Jalen Brunson likes to play with his body. Because Jalen Brunson is really strong. He'll like bump you off your spot. He's strong enough to absorb that. And then when he does get beat, he can recover really well. And just this game was played pretty close, but the Pistons just found a way to edge it out towards the end. And I like that they're starting to develop an identity as a defensive team, because that's always like Detroit Yard is known for being like rough and rugged, and it fits right into the players that they have on the roster, and they're starting to embrace it. And I like that Cade is, everyone was always like, oh, he's nonchalant. He's starting to be more chalant. He's starting to be more expressive. Like he's talking more, and I like to see it. But real quick before I finish off, I want to shout out Malik Beasley real quick, because he hit the two biggest shots of the night. He hit a three on the left wing after Cade got doubled, because he was starting to just beat them so bad. Like you had to try something else. So they started doubling him. And I think it was Mikal Bridges that was on him at this point. And I know Jalen Brunson was the other guy who doubled, because they try and bring Jalen Brunson into the screen. They wouldn't even go for it. They would just blitz him. And he swung the ball out. Tim Hardaway is wide open the top of the key. He gets it. Pump fakes, gives it to Malik Beasley. He knocks it down. That's the first three. He made it a 4-point game. And then the same thing happens. Cade comes up. They try and get Jalen Brunson in the screen, in the action. They double him again. Kicks it out. Malik Beasley gets another wide open three, and in the same spot. And the game was over from there. Malik Beasley was 6 for 8 on threes. And he's just been amazing as a spot-up shooter this season. He shoots everything. Like, no matter if it's contested, like a little bit, if he has a little bit of space, he's shooting it. Same with Tim Hardaway. And it's just crazy to see how much adding shooting to this team, because every Pistons fan have been preaching for that for the past couple of years. They kept drafting wings who couldn't, or guards that couldn't shoot, or a bunch of bigs. So it's just so nice, refreshing to see this team throwing out functional lineups that fit together, and you see the results. Like, what are they, 20 and 18? I think they just, after the Heat loss, I think they just moved up to the 7 seed. It could still be 8. I have to look at the standings, but shout out to the Pistons. That's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Peer Review Podcast. And please make sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, as well as follow us on X at peerreview_pod and on TikTok at Peer Review Podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes and releases. This is the Peer Review, signing off.